Hello, everyone. Dan Mason here. Let's explore another issue in our current events together. All right, let me hit this head on. When someone says, "So you think God is angry and bloodthirsty?" I can see the bait. They want me to defend God as if he were some violent tyrant, but the very framing of the question is false. It's built on a straw man. The Bible never says God delights in blood or destruction. It says he is holy, righteous, and just. There's a difference. Justice requires judgment. A judge who never punishes evil is corrupt. So, if God punished sin in the Old Testament, that was not driven by bloodlust. That was justice against people who burned children to idols, enslaved others, and lived in rebellion. To call that bloodthirsty is to twist the story, the logical fallacy. This claim is classic projection. People commit atrocities, then blame God for holding them accountable. It is like a thief complaining that the police are mean for arresting him. It also begs the question, because it assumes up front that God is unjust, then uses that assumption to argue he is unjust. That's circular. If you start with the wrong premise, you'll end with the wrong conclusion. The biblical fallacy. The Bible is clear that God is patient, not quick to anger. Psalm 103 says he is slow to anger and full of mercy. Ezekiel 33 says he takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but wants them to turn and live. The cross of Jesus Christ proves this. If God were bloodthirsty, he would have wiped us all out. Instead, he gave his Son so that his own blood would cover our sins. That is not bloodlust. That is love. Going on the offensive. Now let's turn this around. Why is it that critics are never angry at evil itself, but only at God for stopping it? They hate the flood, but they ignore the violence and corruption that filled the earth before it. They hate God judging Egypt, but they forget Pharaoh drowned Hebrew babies in the Nile. They hate the idea of hell, but they shrug at child predators, tyrants, and murderers who would otherwise never face justice. So here's the real question. Why are you more offended at God punishing evil than you are at the evil itself? That says more about your heart than his. When you frame God as bloodthirsty, you're really exposing your own thirst to live without accountability. The issue isn't God's character. The problem is rebellion against the very idea of judgment. You don't want a God who sees, who holds you to account, who separates right from wrong. But he exists, and your rejection of him doesn't erase his justice. So the fight is not over whether God is bloodthirsty. The fight is over whether you will admit your own guilt and bow to his mercy, or keep hiding behind clever slogans while running headlong into judgment. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment to support this channel.